up a little bit. But this piece is a piece that I just finished that is now 8 years old. And it was an extension from the paintings before. Um, it, the paintings before, I was very much interested in dissecting the space, and so I was doing these lines and so on and so forth, and cutting crosses and trying to figure out where I want to deal with the covering up. So a lot of my older paintings have these kind of linear elements to them. And I like the painting, but I kind of hated the painting at the same time. So, and most of my paintings are reworked over and over and over again. So with this one, I put it in my studio and I just kind of sat there and stared at it for years, really. And would work on it every once in a while, and then finally I got to the point where I'm like, hey, this is what I want. So these pieces are actually from the very beginning of the painting, and I went through and scraped down with my palette. I use a palette knife a lot, one that's big sometimes. So it's kind of a carpenter's palette knife or a concrete palette knife, and I just scraped away. So these are actually removing to the original core canvas. So I kind of like doing that. And it's really frustrating because sometimes you puncture the canvas.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of like the effect.
Yeah, I did too, actually. And I meant to do that one. It seems like an accident. But, yeah, I'm really excited about this piece. So.
Yeah. And then so you say you keep working on it for years. Is there a lot of planning beforehand that you do, or?
Not really. Whenever I start, I mean, I work on the painting one at a time usually. So whenever I leave the studio and leave the canvas, the painting's still in my head, still being processed. So it's a constant work for me. So when I go back in the studio, I kind of know what I want to do with it, but at the same time, I'm very much interacting with what I'm seeing on the canvas at the time. So a lot of this work can be classified as being very quick. At the same time, like I do take my time, and the reason I say quick is because once I get to the studio, I really work. But in my head, when I'm looking at these pieces, I'm really kind of dissecting them and putting them together. There's a lot of moments when I don't remember even putting marks on the canvas. So I kind of have to say that a lot of this is the free form painting, but the main structure of it is very thought out.
And then I think in your artist statement it said that like each one is kind of like a story or like an emotion.
Yeah, I mean, there always is. My dad was a storyteller, professor. My mom was a teacher. It's like there's always some sort of story going on. So I grew up with stories, and I'm always kind of telling stories. Now, I don't know what the stories are sometimes, but I think, for example, this one and some other ones. This one specifically, I mean, 8 years. It's a long time to be going through a painting. So there's a lot to this piece that I can comment on, but they are coming from some sort of story. Now, if that story is me or interaction, a lot of it are actually interaction with people I know, and but at the same time, like I think I like now building the painting story, and I guess what I mean by that is that I think that marks have their own language, and one mark can talk to another one across the canvas. And I like the idea of putting down my own stories and just dealing with those marks and letting those marks kind of speak for themselves. I think it's a very interesting moment.
I've never really thought about it that way. And then I guess, what kind of advice would you give to like kids our age who, even though we're not exactly pursuing the arts, who might be thinking of going to college for art? Like, how do you end up getting your own show and actually being able to live off of it?
The first thing I have to say is it's not easy. And I teach classes. I teach art classes for high school, but mostly for college. I'll tell all my students the same thing, that it's not hard, and sometimes it's not fun, but if you feel like you have to do it, then that's all that needs to be said, you know. And the universities are even telling us to tell students not to go to the arts anymore. But you know, I wasn't there for a while, and I didn't realize until I got into it how much it means. So it's not something that you're going to make money from, but you can make a fantastic life, you know, from it. I love my life. My wife is an artist. She's an art historian. You know, I am immersed in the arts. I love the area, so on and so forth. So I'm always, this is my life. So I can't really complain about it. That said, you know, it's been some crazy times over the past few years. But you know, I'm doing well. My wife's doing well, and I think that everybody's doing well so far. But for me to tell a student looking at possibility, well, actually for me to tell a student anything, I guess I want to say this, that I think it's important that no matter what you do in your situation, that you try whatever it is that comes to your mind. And the reason I say that is, I wish I would have done that before I got to my junior year in college, because I feel like I lost a lot of prep work and I had to catch up. Like I was in the studio almost all my life, but 3 hours a day. You know, trying to catch up from everybody else is in front of me, because they've been painting all of them, you know, since they were 5 or so, and they were in studio culture, and they understood it, and I was coming in, I had no knowledge of that, because my high school at the time really didn't, seek out that kind of interaction. I keep telling my students this, that the thing that I remember most about high school art class, I took one art class, is that I made a stupid little Santa sleigh out of sticks. And that was my art experience in high school. And I wish that it would have been much more. But at the same time, I actually learned a lot that were not part of the arts by being outside of it. So, the best thing for me to say is try what you can, and don't worry about things happening. If they want to happen, they will. That's really hard for me to tell people because they don't want to listen to that. But some students are very much they've got a 10-year track and a 12-year track and a 38-year track in their head, and it's not. I hate to say it, but it's not going to work out. The world's an amazing, exciting, unpredictable place. And I actually have to be corny right now. I have to say I want to catch that kind of thing in the paintings.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I really like your work.
yeah, thank you. I like it too sometimes.
Yeah. Is there anything? Oh, this was the other thing I was gonna ask you.
Yeah.
How do you decide, on the size, and then which sizes go together, and then rectangle versus square in the show?
That's actually a good question. The word changes and has changed in size pretty drastically. Like I said before, the pieces I used to do were very large, and as large as the wall would let me, or the door would let me, getting into the space. The squares actually came from me figuring out that if I go any larger, I have problems getting no places.